What was the biggest focus of your off week?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I think you always want to try to get a read on your team and find out, what you need. And for us, we needed to try to get some guys back healthy, so we had a little bit of extra time to heal up some injuries, just some nagging stuff. We've stayed really healthy this year in terms of, season-ending injuries, but we've had a lot of bumps and bruises, and so gave those guys a chance to heal up a little bit. We had 3 good practices last week. Got a chance to recharge the battery a little bit and get a little bit of a jump start on Tulane in terms of our preparation this week. And so, I thought it was a good open week, and I thought we had a really good practice Sunday, and I thought we had one of the better practices we've had, really honestly since I've been at SMU today. And so we went in the Star. The Cowboys were nice enough to let us go use their practice facility, and we had a really good day and got out of the weather and got a lot done. And so really pleased with what we did today and challenged our guys the importance of, doing it again tomorrow.
Was part of the good practice today just the excitement for the players of being in that facility?
I don't know. I think we changed a couple of things up practice-wise just to try to make it a little more competitive, and I think the guys competed hard. I think it was, I think this time of year when you can change your routine a little bit, I think that's always a good thing. And so for us, today was like a Wednesday practice. We did like a Tuesday on Sunday just to give us a little bit of a head start through the week. And so, I think just the different schedule was probably one. I think they were a little rested as well, and I think probably, the venue probably helped as well.
What are you seeing out of Tulane so far?
Well, they're a team that's a lot like us. They're, played a good schedule. You look at who they've played some good football teams and have played really well at times. I think, obviously, the win against Memphis and the way they played in that ball game was really impressive. They're a team that, does some unique things on both sides of the ball. Kind of different schemes. Offensively, a little bit of different stuff defensively than what you see week to week. Really sound on special teams. They're a team that plays really hard. I got a lot of respect for Willie Fritz. I think he's done a great job as a coach. He's won everywhere he's ever been. You look at his record going back to Blinn Junior College. He's always won and knows how to get it done and is a good football coach. And so, the team I think reflects his personality and his attitude. They're going to play tough and they're going to play hard-nosed, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
After having a week to look at things the bye week, are you and your staff contemplating any personnel changes, like elevating people to more time? Maybe?
Yeah, I think guys start to work themselves in a little bit more. It's the one good thing that I think that we have just in terms of getting guys back healthy is we have some depth. And again, we thought going into the year that the strength of our team was going to be our running back depth, and we've really had none up to this point. And so hopefully we'll have some of that. We feel like we're going to get some of our receivers back as well. Those guys obviously will make a big impact for us. We're going to see a lot of man coverage, and that's what Tulane's going to do to us. So we're going to need to win some one-on-one battles and make some plays, contested plays, and so that's a plus getting those guys back. And some of our guys on the back end as well. And I think that defensively it's been we've been a little bit banged up on the back end, and so hopefully we'll get those guys back healthy as well. And now we have some competition. Now we can rest some guys and keep some guys fresh.
Anybody who's really close who has been banged up to playing in particular?
Oh yeah, well I think Reggie will play. I think Judah Bell will play. I think C.J. Sanders will play. I think Xavier will play. I think Kyron will play. I think Richard Moore will play. I think Trevor Dembo will play. I think, who am I forgetting?
Tyson Niels?
Tyson, maybe. Tyson will be a maybe. Trying to think who else am I forgetting. I knew somebody was sneaking up on me.
That's a confusion of talent.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. It's guys, like I said, that have been a little bit banged up that I think are starting to feel better and certainly practice better today. Actually Stearns is another one too. And so that's another one that's going to play and come and help us in safety as well. So, starting to get a little more depth back, hopefully.
How would you assess your linebacker core so far, and what does Kyron Mitchell's senior leadership do for that group?
Well, I've been really impressed with Richard and Kyron. I think those two guys, have really played well. I think that was a question mark coming into the year, just in terms of what was Richard going to be. He just hadn't done anything here, coming off the transfer, and another question mark was how is Kyron going to hold up with his knee. And been very pleased with both of them. And then you throw Pat Nelson into that mix, who also is coming back off of an injury, and Trevor Dimbo. Then you've got 4 guys that are pretty unique in some of the things that they can do. And so when they're all on the field at the same time, that gives us the freedom to do some different things with our front. But I think Kyron's just been a really good leader for us. He's been very consistent. He brings some toughness to our team. I think that's been a theme of ours really from day one, is just trying to become a tougher, more physical football team. And I think we're making strides. I think we made a big stride today in terms of the way we practiced, and hopefully it'll carry over to Saturday.
Tulane has played a couple of quarterbacks, and I think you said on your radio show last night that you expect to see both on Saturday. How hard is it to prepare for a team with 2 quarterbacks, and what are the different challenges each guy presents for your defense?
I think they'll go through a little bit of the same thing we go through. I think what you do is you have to prepare for both, and there's always a little bit of nuances that you have to. Certain guys like certain things, and one runs a little better than the other. One might throw a little better than the other. One might be a better decision maker, react better to to the rush, all those different things. And so, what you have to do is just look at their plays that they run well, and the plays that they're going to execute, and figure out a way to stop those, and then make adjustments as the game goes along. Because anytime you have an open week, they're going to have some new wrinkles and some things we haven't seen, and so it's going to be really important for us to be able to adjust and get settled in.
When you do have a week off, is there such thing in your eyes as maybe over-tinkering your team too much, or maybe over-preparing or over-analyzing the opponent coming up?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to be careful. I think one of the worst things you can do is get your game plan on Monday, a week out or 2 weeks out, and all of a sudden you work that game plan all the time, and by the time you get to the game, it almost gets stale. And so that's been something that's, you learn from experience in that regard, where you can almost practice against something too much. And I think just what you said, our week off was more focused on fundamentals and just getting better and better playing football, and not specifically trying to stop any style of play. Just get better at what we do and how we do it, and again, just working on being tougher and more physical and tackling and blocking, and just the little nuances that make your team good. And so we spent 3 days really trying to improve ourselves. A little bit of one of those days on Tulane, and then, as I said, we got a jump start on them by having a good Sunday practice.
You played 2 quarterbacks against UCF. Is that something that we could see going forward?
Yeah, potentially. I think it just depends on kind of how it goes. We want to get settled at the quarterback spot. That's our goal, is to have a starter and have a clear number one, and we hope that they start to separate during practice, and we hope it carries over to the games. And so we'll kind of see these next couple of days, and then figure out which direction we're going to go in.
Ben's played a couple good games against Tulane. Does that factor in your decision at all of how much he'll play?
No, I think every year is different. I think every challenge is different. Every set of circumstances is a little bit different, and I think the fact that when you look at Ben's body of work, he's played some good football games. He's a leading passer in school history, so he's obviously played at a high level, and so we know it's in there, but we just weren't necessarily getting it, and we're turning it over too much, and I think he's improved in those ways. And so I think Ben's starting to play like we expected him to play coming into the year.
This might be the most simplistic question you've ever been asked. You mentioned before the bye about inconsistencies on third down on both sides.
Yeah.
Is that essentially what's happening on first and second down?
Yeah.
Is often putting you behind the 8 ball?
No doubt. Down? Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and I think that's true really anywhere, because I think our inability really to run the ball. And again, you got to look at some of the defenses we played against. You look at a Michigan defense, which I think is a top 5 defense. You look at TCU, which has the number 1 defense in the Big 12. You start looking at some of the defenses that we've played against. Those are teams that are tough to run the ball against, and so I think that contributes to it. Just like anything else. I think you always have to factor that in when you start looking at who you played. And Central Florida's a good defensive football team as well. And so, those are all teams that your numbers get a little skewed because they're very good defenses. But for us, you know, we've got to be able to run the ball, and the better we run the ball on first down, the better we're going to, execute on third down.
You win first down and you win third
No
down.
question, no question. And it's the same thing defensively. You know, when you put them in third and long, it's a lot easier to get off the field than it is, you know, 3rd and 2 or 3rd.
You weren't here last year, but obviously you know how that game ended.
Yeah.
How much do you think the way that game ended will impact Tulane's emotion and intensity, and what can you and your staff do to match that?
Yeah, I think it will. I don't think there's any question that it will. I mean, the thing about those things is, you know, those usually last a couple of plays. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it comes down to which team's going to play the hardest and execute the highest level, and so a lot of that stuff goes out the window. You know, it's a little bit like I think Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and then, you know, once the game starts, I mean, a guy's worried about doing his job, and he's not worried about a call a referee made the year before. You know what I'm saying? Those things go out the window pretty quick.
I've seen Will been kind of neutralizing the rushing game the last couple of weeks. Why do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know. I think part of it's, again, playing against pretty good defensive teams. I think part of it's just Will's little bit of inexperience at times and maybe trying to do too much when he runs. I think that's one of the things that young players, particularly quarterbacks, run into is that sometimes they try to do too much. And I think that's why I think Will performed well early, because, you know, he had a real simple approach. And I think in some ways, the more you play, the more clouded your mind gets a little bit, just because you think you can do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And I think in a lot of ways, what he's got to do is just do a good job of executing our offense and run when he has opportunities, make good decisions when he has opportunities to hand it off, and continue to do those things that are going to allow us to run the ball and be successful.